Good morning, world, and welcome to today's episode of Soil and Soul, provided to you by Sacred Earth Essentials, where we believe the earth is sacred and you are too. All beings are worthy of respect and reverence, and when we learn of that synergistic relationship between ourselves and the world around us, we are better able to care for both ourselves and others, making the world a better place for all. So thank you for listening today. Today is day 3 of Soil and Soul, helping to raise global awareness about the dire need for us to make some immediate and large-scale changes in agriculture and environmentalism, because as people and corporations add harmful synthetic chemicals to the soil, not only is this harming people's physical health through the chemicals, but it is killing the earth and killing the live system within the soil that is a part of the cycle of life that feeds the plants. And when we poison the soil and kill the life in the plants, not only do we deplete the plants of their essential vitamins and nutrients, not only do we kill healthy bacteria and fungi and earthworms and other plants that help with the soil, but as I mentioned yesterday, those chemicals then enter into our water systems. And I just saw an article this morning where basically the dead zone is happening off the coast of Carolina as well. And so we are in need of going back to the biodynamic, natural, genius way of working with nature and learning from it and listening to the plants and honoring and respecting them. And so speaking of honoring and respecting plants, this is one of my favorite plants. This is stinging nettle. Urtica dioica would be its Latin name, and it is called stinging nettle because there's formic acid. There are small tiny hairs, if you can see on the plants, that when you touch them, they sting you, and with the formic acid, if you're not careful. Some people can't tolerate this feel and other people enjoy it. That feel also has medicinal value. When the nettle grows very tall, it is used in flogging for rheumatoid arthritis. I know it helps me with my rheumatoid arthritis in my shoulder and my knee, are the main places I've tried this before. Now when you break up the leaves, when you either make tea or soup, or you can make things like spinach, instead of spinach and spinach spanakopita, you can use nettle, which is a famous recipe that I was able to try and learned from Rosemary. I always want to give thanks to all of my many teachers. There's so many of you out there who have blessed me with these teachings, and not just the teachings that come from science or in a book, but the teachings that come from your heart, that are imbued and just coated with all the love that makes you all the fabulous, loving teachers that you are. And for me, that's what really helps me to learn, has been that relationship with both the subject and also with the teacher. And so sometimes the subject is the teacher. So this formic acid is useful for arthritis, and the plant is packed full of vitamins A, C, potassium, manganese. It's awesome in a climate in a zone like Vermont because it is a perennial. So it has, this is actually dug up. I need to put it into the soil, but the cool part about this is now we can see the roots. It has a rhizome system, so it proliferates underground. You don't really even have to do anything. I also planted a whole row of seeds here in this field so that I can have a giant nettle patch, because you can also use the roots, and the seeds are very good for men health and can be used in urinary tract health as well. So think of it like super spinach. And as far as honor and respect goes, what I was saying was it's one of those plants that offers us this beautiful healing on a physical level, packed full of its nutrients, as well as a physical level it's what protects it is actually a medicine, the formic acid. And that when it is, I suppose you could say, submitted to or surrendered to being processed, like if deer chew it, it doesn't bite their mouth, it doesn't sting their mouth, then it relaxes into giving us its other deeper, more nutrient offering. And it also requires us to respect it with that stinging, especially if it's not a feeling that you like. And you, ouch, woo, happen to walk through a nettle patch, it is painful. So my finger will swell up and get a little bit red. But because I know that that's not poisonous, and I know that that's not going to hurt me, and I know that it's really not that bad, it helps with arthritis, that for me was fun and not painful. And you can also put this in omelets. You can tincture it. I love making tea with it, adding it to soups. And it's if you like stinging nettles, for me it's low maintenance. I don't have to do anything to it. I just have to plant it and let it do its thing, as long as I don't mind the fact that over the years it's going to be a huge patch. But if we're looking at wild edibles and food security, what an amazing plant to have around for food security. It's nutritious, it's delicious, it's like Popeye's superfood. Like if olive oil had a spinach, it would be nettles. And nettles, different varieties, are also used for cloth. And so if any of you grow commercial nettle along with commercial hemp for clothing, for fabric, please be in touch. And I would love to help grow some nettles and hemp, not only for edible purposes, but as well as for fabric. And so this also helps with the soil, because it is a biodynamic accumulator. So these root systems, again, are helping to increase the quality of the topsoil and bringing up nutrients from deeper below that layer. And so it adds to that biodiversity. And it's also nitrogen, full of nitrogen fixing for the soil. So having this around is an essential component of a healthy ecosystem, depending on your region. And I just love nettle. Nettle fairy is what comes to mind. And so as far as boundaries go, I also discussed yarrow in a video recently, and nettle is an excellent plant on a soulful level, teaching us about boundaries, about that when you are a deeply nutritious and delicious person, you may want to have something along the lines of formic acid, of these little stinging hairs, to let people know that you are also deserving of respect and reverence. So go and get you some nettle seeds. I know you can, in the past, Zach Wood's Herb Farm here in Vermont has sold nettle. Check out your local farmers markets. Give me a year and I'll have some for you. I've got this row coming up. My goal at this point is production for making products and food and for education. So thank you for your time. Go plant some seeds, get you some nettle. You can also add it in with your, as I was saying yesterday, with the collard green mix, a wild collard green mix. Nettles would go excellent in that, as well as in a pesto. Again, another famous recipe from Rosemary, with Nesto, where you add it in with the pesto. You can also add dandelion.